Salve, meine Freunde, zu einer weiteren Runde von The Forgotten City. Wir sind hier stehen geblieben bei der Wahl, die gleich beginnen wird. Und wir wissen doch alle, wie es enden wird. Jemand bricht die Regel und ich darf wegrennen. So wird es doch sein. Aber sind das alle? Mit dem habe ich noch nicht geredet. Habe ich?
We have a quorate body of voters gathered here to elect the city's magistrate. The candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus and Marcus Malleolus Gurges. As agreed, we shall dispense with ballots and candidates will abstain from voting. Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote. I'll start with you, Horatius.
Sentius, of course.
Georgius.
Sentius.
Dacius.
Malleolus.
Galerius.
I abstain. I'm just here to observe.
Virgil.
Malleolus.
Rufius.
Malleolus.
And finally, Domitius.
Malleolus. Who else?
Citizens, you have made your decision. Your new magistrate is Marcus Malleolus Gurges.
Nicht gut.
Hail, Magistrate Malleolus. I said, hail, Magistrate Malleolus. That's more like
Ave, ave, ja.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. And now, I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens. Under my leadership, you will finally enjoy the freedom you deserve. No more shall you walk on eggshells, fearing simply to live and breathe, because the tyrant Sentius told you it was forbidden. For my first act as magistrate, I hereby announce a day of celebration to mark the end of an era. The myth of the Golden Rule is no more.
The Golden Rule is real, you idiot.
For his attempt to deceive us all, Sentius is hereby found guilty of treason against the Empire.
What? I have committed no crimes. This is madness.
His sentence: to fight for his life in gladiatorial combat against Domitius. Here and now for your entertainment.
You have no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Wait, I exercise my right as a Vestal priestess to pardon him. I will not allow you to do this.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius, ignore her. Proceed.
This is insanity. You'll doom us all.
Lies! It is time the Golden Rule was exposed for what it is. A children's fable, exploited by a treacherous leader to instill fear in all of us.
This is why he's in his gladiator gear. They've been planning this all along.
Shut up, all of you. The magistrate has spoken. I'm going to enjoy killing you, old man.
Out of my way!
The many shall
Hab
suffer
ich doch gewusst.
for the sins of the one.
Können wir noch ein bisschen was klauen?
The statues.
Oh Gott. Au. Au, ich werde hier sterben. Und weg hier. Und weg hier. Vorhin war da irgendwo eine Statue gestanden. Die da. Da will ich mal rein. Gibt's bestimmt was zu holen. Au, 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 au. Gut gemacht, Sentius. Wie schnell war denn der da? Ist einen anderen Weg laufen? Hab doch gewusst, dass es schief läuft. Aber irgendwo war Rufius dabei. Den habe ich noch gesucht. Ich glaube, ich habe schon einen Plan. Also, was haben wir noch? Der Dorn in der Pfote. Ja genau, Rufius. Den muss ich davon abhalten. Den von der Wahl. Und die hat irgendwas von... Was hat die da gesagt? Aha. Nicht die Sünde verhindere, ja. Okay. Genau, 3 Gemeinsamkeiten. Da haben wir ja den Fluss gehabt. Aber wir haben ja noch nicht mit jedem gesprochen. Hi.
Salve, friend. Mind?
Ja, habe ich auch gegen einen. Naja, erledige ein paar Sachen.
Sounds
Sie liegt im Sterben. Oh, das kann ich jetzt auch machen. Muss ich selber nicht mehr machen.
Oh no. All right, I can do that.
Und die davon
All right, let
abhalten.
me see. Stop Fabia going in, but send the new arrival to the empty shrine. Understood. I'll
Sehr
go,
gut,
but
Galerius.
once I'm done, I'll need you to tell me how you know all of this.
Ich komme dann auf dich zu. So. Den müssen wir abhalten zu springen. Ich muss glaube ich noch mal ein paar Leuten reden. Centella.
What is it, citizen?
Hi. Was ist deine Geschichte?
I'm a legionary of the 1st Italica, but there's not a lot of fighting down here. So the magistrate has assigned me other duties. I act as the magistrate's right-hand man, keeping an eye on his daughter, I should say, and the others, and making sure they're all behaving. I also keep a register of new arrivals.
Okay.
I'm from Liguria, up north originally. I was doing all right for myself. 12 years into my service. Had a nice girl lined up for when it was all over. Not anymore. She's probably figured I'm long gone and moved on by now. I try not to think about it. My commander sent me to deliver a message to Rome. While I was there, I thought I'd do something nice for my girl and pick up a little pendant from a silversmith. That's when the crowd started flooding through the streets, shouting fire. People were screaming, trampling each other. Then some genetricum fugitive tried to take advantage of the chaos and pinch my pendant. I remember chasing him through the crowds, down towards the river. And then, nothing. Blacked out and woke up near here. No idea how I ended up floating so far downriver. But, I'm fortunate to be alive, I suppose.
Okay. Eine Münze erwähnt. Ah, habe ich schon was. Ja, tut mir leid, das zu hören. Oh, Gedächtnislücken auch.
Ah, don't be. As Seneca the Younger said, difficulty strengthens the mind, as labor does the body. That said, Centilla's disappearance has been more difficult than I'd care to admit.
Ja, wo ist sie denn? Erzähl mir was über den.
He's one of the better commanders I've ever had, that's for sure. Good stoic. Lives by Seneca's words. Treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Can't ask for much more than that.
Wie kommt man hier
I
raus?
went around asking the same questions when I first arrived. Never did find a way out. But I learned how to accept my situation. To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden. That's from Seneca the Younger, if you're interested.
Mhm. Oh ja,
I
Bürgerverzeichnis.
don't see why not. Just make sure I get it back by tomorrow.
Ah, okay. Mal schauen, mit wem ich noch nicht geredet habe. Aurelia, ja. Claudia, Jesus, ja. Domitius, ja, das ist der da unten. Kann ich nicht lesen. Nochmal, schauen wir so. Duilius, das ist der im... Ah, genau, der eingesperrt. Mit der habe ich schon. Patricia und Fabia. Mit der habe ich auch noch nicht geredet. Das war die da hinten bei den Assassinen. Georgius auch nicht. Hannibal ist recht nicht. Habasch. Elendsviertel. Verschwunden. Na toll. Julia. Livia. Lucia. Ja, Octavia. Mit dem auch noch nicht. Rufius. Sentia, das ist die Schwester da oben. Sentilla, die ist weg. Ulpius, der springt. Virgil, das ist glaube ich der, mit dem Decius geredet hat. Sicher, ich gebe es. Ja.
Of course.
Die goldene Regel.
Well, as I always say, it's kind of like a divine version of the practice of decimation in the Legion. by threatening to execute 1 in 10 men. The idea is to ensure order and discipline among everyone. And it works. If you knew you could be executed because your brother-in-arms is planning a mutiny, well, you'd bloody well watch him like 100-eyed Argus, wouldn't you? Because your only chance of saving yourself is to stop bad things before they happen. Makes us all responsible for keeping each other in check. It's brutal, of course, but effective. The Legion wouldn't be the most formidable force in the world without it.
Also bist du dafür.
What's done is done. I was forced to execute my brothers in arms, and those memories will always visit me in my sleep. But life is harsh, and I've come to accept my lot. As with the Golden Rule, I don't have any control over it, so railing against it would be like trying to stop the seasons or the tides. As Seneca the Younger wrote, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing.
Okay. Kollektivbestrafung. Ja.
War crime. Isn't that a contradiction in terms? As Cicero said, in times of war the law falls silent.
Damals vielleicht ja, jetzt vielleicht nicht mehr. Unsere Welten sind verschieden.
Seems that way. War crimes. Ridiculous.
Was hast du noch anzubieten? Wem?
Not that it's any
Natürlich.
of your business, but my loyalty is and always will be with Sentius. Unfortunately, I don't think my vote is going to make any difference today. See, Domitius has been going around town, shoring up votes for Malleolus with lies, bribery and intimidation. The man's a savage, but he's a gladiator, so people fear and respect him more than they should. Sentius knows about it, of course, but he doesn't have the same rat cunning as Malleolus. This place will be different with that sleaze at the helm. But I try not to worry about things I can't change.
Kann nicht helfen.
I appreciate the thought. But you're new here, and I just can't see how you could make an impact.
Doch,
at the
ich
time
hab
between
so
now
viel
and the
Zeit.
election this afternoon. In any case, if you're interested in the election, go and have a chat with Equitia, the Vestal Priestess. She'll be overseeing proceedings.
Ja, der muss sich irgendwie von abhalten. Machen wir das gleich?
Hey, Horatius. How's it feel knowing your man's doomed to lose the election today?
If you're trying to goad me into an argument, it won't work. I was stoic, remember?
If the old man couldn't even keep his own daughter safe, how can anyone trust him to keep us safe, eh?
Why do I get the feeling you lot had something to do with Sentilla's disappearance?
That's it. Blame everyone but yourself.
If I find out you did something to that poor sweet girl, not even the Golden Rule is gonna protect you. Got it?
Huh. As if I'll be afraid of you, little man.
Oh. Was willst du, hä?
Malleolus isn't receiving visitors at the moment. It be
Ich hab
election
den
day.
Schlüssel. Muss mit Ulpius sprechen.
He's not here.
Wo ist er?
Dunno. The little Caput murder escaped earlier this morning, while I was taking Yulia to the clinic. He can't have gone far, but if you find him, tell him the punishment he gets for coming back on his own won't be as bad as if I have to go looking for him.
Okay.
Whatever.
Chill. So, jetzt gehe ich rein. Die Frau überzeuge ich jetzt mal hier. Mhm.
Thank you. I am delighted and
Ja, ja.
magistrate. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nicht weinen. Ei. Ich war schon mal hier. Jetzt schmeichle ich ihr. Nicht wie letztes Mal. Ich weiß, wo bewahrt ihr eure Werte. Können wir reden?
Talk. What business?
Ich weiß. Etwas Hilfe? Erstmal, was ist deine Geschichte?
I think a better question is, why am I being interrogated by a stranger who just barged into my villa? I have quite enough marriage trouble already, without having to explain to my husband why I am receiving strange men in private.
Okay.
Mhm.
Ja, ich weiß. Ja.
No, some time ago. Now,
So weit waren wir schon. So. Schmeicheln.
Oh, aren't you charming? I'm quite sure my husband would seethe with impotent rage if he overheard you say that.
Mhm.
I love it. It seems our interests are aligned. I imagine knowing his true identity will give me the leverage I need to manage him appropriately. But first, I need you to do something for me.
Was willst du?
I want you to bring me some wine.
Ich habe doch eine gefunden.
Just one small urn should do it. Oh, don't look at me like that. I know this must be hard for you to wrap your sweet little pleb head around. So what do you need me to spell out?
Will ich das wissen? Na. Keine Frage.
So you'll help me.
Ich habe hier etwas Wein.
Thank you. Here's the letter.
Zusammenfassung. Ein Liebesbrief, in dem Malleolus versehentlich zugibt, dass sein Name Quintius ist. Quintius an die geliebte Claudia. Eine Zeit lang verzweifelte ich an dem Gedanken, hier für den Rest meines Lebens gefangen zu sein. Aber dann traf ich euch und entdeckte, dass ich genau da bin, wo ich sein sollte, solange ich mit euch zusammen bin. Bloße Worte können meine Zuneigung zu euch nicht ausdrücken, und so werde ich euch zu Ehren eine große Geste vollbringen. Ich werde Magistrat dieser Stadt werden, damit ich mit euch an meiner Seite mit Weisheit und Stärke regieren kann. Aha! Danke.
Now, perhaps you can tell me who Quintius really is.
Laut diesem Kopfgeldbrief, ja. Mhm.
What? He's... Oh no. That's... quite a lot more serious than I imagined. I only wanted some leverage over him, not to destroy him. Give me that immediately. Nobody else must know.
Nee, nee, nee. Ich behalte ihn.
What? No. You tricked me, you mendacious little stirkers.
Ich habe euch nicht belogen.
It was a lie of a mission. You were planning this all along and you deliberately concealed it. May Jupiter cut you down.
Ciao.
I curse you. I curse your life and mind and memory. May you be unable to walk or eat or drink. May this drag you to the depths. This is outrageous.
Das kann ich nicht. Ich weiß nicht mal, wer dieser Gott ist. So. Malleolus. Quintius. Wie geht's? Vielleicht sollte ich mal öfter speichern, bevor ich in Gespräche versaue.
Domitius doesn't usually let anyone in here without a hefty tribute, so you must have been desperate to see me. Well, what do you want?
Ich will, dass du zurücktrittst.
Are you insane?
Ja, ich weiß.
Why would...
Hier?
So, it finally caught up with me.
Mhm.
I suppose that makes you, what, one of Nero's assassins?
Der Kaiser lässt grüßen. Nein, ich bin nicht.
So, you're not going to kill me?
Obwohl ich so auch ähnlich heiße. Okay, und alle in Schuldknechtschaft zu euch entlasst, ja.
Oh, so much work and money. Oh, well, if I do it, you'd let me live?
Ja, klar. Ja.
Fine. Ruling this cesspit of a city would have been beneath me anyway. I'll have Domitius notify the priestess of my withdrawal and release those two from debt bondage. There, you got what you wanted. Now, please, leave my villa and never speak to me again.
Hatte ich auch nicht vor. Ciao. Sehr gut, haben wir doch was erreicht. Aber jetzt brauche ich doch einen... Ja, befreie sie. Was wollte ich sagen? Wir reden erstmal mit dir. Okay. Einen neuen zur Wahl. Galerius, oder? Wo ist er? Galerius.
A golden ball.
Da ist Rufius.
Just like Apollo and Diana's.
Wir gehen später zu Galerius. Und dann sagen wir, der Platz ist frei.
Name's Rufius. Better watch your step.
Hi. Hier.
What business is that of yours?
Ich habe eine Behandlungsmethode.
Willow bark. And this will work? Oh, thank God. Finally, some relief. This is what I've been praying for. Maybe God hasn't abandoned me after all. Thank you. I've been in a lot of pain lately. The rheumatism, these cursed statues always watching, and the crisis of faith. It was too much. Started messing with my head. This is exactly what I needed to set it straight again.
Ist doch schön.
I owe you one.
Dankeschön. Komme ich drauf zurück. Was ist deine Geschichte?
Can't talk long. Got to stay sharp, but family's from Seleucia on Tigris, Babylon province. But I've been roaming a long time now. Even joined the legions, the 6th, the one they call Ironclads.
Und wie bist du hier gelandet?
Not sure. I was fighting with the 6th against Parthians in the east. Only my whole body was aching every time I took a swing of my gladius. It was the rheumatism. Relentless. Unending. Of course, I wasn't going to get any sympathy from my commander. So I started thinking, what if, in the next battle, I just didn't try as hard, you know? What if I let my guard down just long enough? Next battle came, and all I remember is this bloody great savage coming toward me. And I just loosened my grip, and then nothing. I woke up by the river. Some strange man in an eagle headdress had fished me out. Kamut Tabal, I think he called himself. Then I found this place, and that's it.
Okay. Die meisten anderen waren in Rom, bevor sie im Wald aufwachten, aber ihr meint, ihr wart im Osten.
Are you calling me a liar? I've just opened up to you, and you're doubting me to my face?
Oh Gott.
I won't make that mistake again.
Red mit mir.
I have nothing to say to you.
Du bist versaut. Kommen wir später wieder. Hi.
A new face, Ave, and may Vesta watch over you.
Ich weiß. Ja.
Interesting. I'm not sure why you're telling me, but you've come to the right person. Did you
Das
find
ist
the
halt immer so
pattern
schwer,
there?
alles
What if you
zurückzusetzen.
met
Keiner erinnert sich an dich. Brachen von einer Münze. Soll ich das nochmal sagen?
Yes, I understand.
Ja, das war mich schon noch. Münze.
Yes, I suppose that could be something. But then most of us do tend to carry coins on our person, don't we? What else?
Ja, ich habe auch eine.
That's true. I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. It's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livia has been going
Oh, wir
through.
haben es geschafft.
Let me ask you this. Did you happen to encounter a stranger in the forest before you arrived here?
Ja.
And did you happen to catch her name?
Nein.
I see. And was this stranger by any chance wearing a hood?
Ja.
Because I've seen her before. There's something I think you should see. I think you'd better follow me to the baths.
Okay.
Don't follow too closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together.
Oh, Entschuldigung. Okay. Das ist jetzt aber die Hauptquest, oder? Mhm. Rote Faden. Okay. Ich will hier noch was machen. Na gut, machen wir ja ein bisschen. Wird schon erzählen.
Citizen.
Hi. Da, mit dem habe ich noch nicht geredet. Und mit dem. Wir gehen ja jetzt erstmal da rein. Und da mit dem Julius. Okay, ich soll hier langsam folgen. Lololo. Schön haben wir es hier. Schön. Gott. Okay. I find you. So, jetzt, ich glaube, hier wird schon keiner kommen. Hallo, hallo, hier war ich schon mal. Wo gehst du hin? So, was gibt's hier?
All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light.
Ich sehe
If only
gar
you could
nichts.
see.
Aha.
Oh, what a marvelous lamp. But do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it. Only, I think I know who that stranger is. Charon, the ferryman of the dead.
Okay.
Charon, who, in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some loose change. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm
Bin ich
so,
jetzt tot?
so sorry. I take it you know what this means.
Hier ist die Unterwelt. Hä? Sie ist mir doch eine Münze gegeben. Hi, Lise, bin ich jetzt tot?
I'm afraid so. It's all starting to make sense. All these people whose last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final moments. It also tells us that the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions, so I'll try to answer them if I can.
Boah, also sind wir tot. Ich brauche mein Bein wieder zurück von der einen.
That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken. But it was also possible for the living to reach it without dying, if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid I don't know.
Also, sie weiß es nicht. Ach, erzähl mir was über Charon, ich weiß gar nicht, wie er im Deutschen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman, or even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involved the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks.
Okay. Warum habt ihr nicht alle gleich erkannt?
To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they They seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti, and Rufius described meeting a stranger named Kumut Tabal wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again.
Ja, wie komme ich hier raus? Das heißt, ich muss hier alles fertig machen. Und warum sind hier so wenige? Gute Frage. Danke.
In the stories, Charon would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river. But that never made any sense to me. What does an ancient immortal being need with coins? In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not.
Ja, alle verheimlichen mir was.
No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after Livia's ramblings, but I would never have figured it out without your help, I promise you.
Okay.
Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it, if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter. Orpheus, a Thracian poet. Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra. And Aeneas, a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide.
Okay, Ja. Und wir machen das mit den Göttern, oder? Wer sieht denn heutzutage schon Götter?
That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules.
Ja. Herkules konnte weder die Zeit manipulieren noch organische Materie in Gold verwandeln. Ich habe ein paar Asse mehr gebraucht. Komm.
Are you telling me that you can? I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance. So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day.
Ooh.
But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be a keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again.
Okay. Woher weiß sie das alles, dass sie da drin sind? Sind die Götter da oben oder was? In diesem Tempel?
It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque.
Okay. Kann ich die griechische finden?
I don't know.
Wow.
But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius. His store is in the forum.
Ah, bei dem war ich noch nicht. Wo ist die ägyptische?
Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her, or just take a look in his room.
Okay. Frage Aurelia nach Kabash. Hä? So ist es schon gescheitert.
I'm afraid you're on your own with that one. But perhaps finding the other 3 will illuminate the way.
Okay. Können wir nicht einfach auf den gleichen Weg entkommen, wie wir auch hergekommen sind?
It's a reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. There's no way to climb up the shaft. And even if you could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would break the golden rule. We know that, thanks to the writings left behind by those who've tried.
Okay, wie heißt er? Ja, ich will's auch
All
wissen.
Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us. You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril.
Okay, erzähl mir mehr.
Shh! Is everyone so blunt where you're from? That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower...
So weit waren wir schon. Ich habe ein paar Asse im Ärmel.
You do seem different to anyone I've ever met. And even that lamp of yours looks like something Prometheus might have stolen from the gods.
Mhm.
So, if you want to confront him,
Ich weiß.
who knows? But first, the problem
Ich weiß.
It looks as though if you could recover and it's the towering stone. That means you.
Nee, will ich gar nicht.
As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage.
Also ist sie vielleicht bereit?
If the stories are true, then I suppose so. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels?
Ja, die Statuen reden mit mir. Das ist halt die eine da, oder?
Truly? And you're only bringing this up now? Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say?
Das ist dieselbe, ja.
Fascinating. Perhaps she is a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out?
Ja, aber ich dachte, das wäre diese, die da festgehalten wird von dieser Naevia, wie heißt die Verrückte da, die goldene Haut entfernen will.
Oh, I see. Well, let me know if you hear anything that might be a thread through this labyrinth.
Na gut, ich bin bereit.
I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone.
Okay, dadurch wird die neue Quest. Erst mit, komm, sprechen wir erst mit der.
In any case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you. Although you may not need her with Proserpina on your side.
Ich habe so viel Zeit der Welt. Über goldene Statuen. So. Tief abgeschlossen. Da war doch eine, die ich irgendwie... Lausche. Brauche ich, glaube ich, noch nicht. Nein. Frage Aurelia nach Kabosch. Wieso ist es gescheitert? Wieso ist es gescheitert? So, komm. Wir reden mit ihr. Mit den anderen rede ich später. Aber mit Galerius wollte ich noch reden. Wartet gegen die Strömung. Ein Fluss. Oder? Gibt es hier einen Fluss? Da unten. Hier ist überall gefüllt Wasser. So. Die muss ich auch noch reden. Ich war hier auch noch nicht überall. So. Da war ich auch noch nicht. Jetzt sehen wir uns mal um, wo alle hier sind. Hier ist keiner. Wem gehört dieses Haus? Dafür habe ich doch. Dafür habe ich doch. Was haben wir hier? Bürgerverzeichnis. Ja. Galerius. Bauer. Elendsviertel. Ach, der ist da unten. Na, da wo die Livia ist, oder? Aber warte, ich gehe noch hoch. Gefällt mir das Spiel. Gefällt mir. Götter. Ja, wir kennen uns schon. Da unten war ich auch noch nicht. War ich hier schon? Nein. Hier war ich auch noch nicht. Schön habt ihr es hier. Gänseeier. Nehmen wir mit. Warum auch immer. Hallo Ziege. Das einzige Tier, was ich hier sehe. Schön, schön, schön. Wo bin ich hier? Nicht so weit. Ich bin ein Viertel. Was ist hier? War ich hier schon? Ich weiß es nicht mehr. Ja, ich glaube, hier habe ich den Wein gefunden. Oder? Ja, hier war ich schon. Au. Gut. Livia. Du bist nicht verrückt.
Just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all,
So
but
waren
it
wir.
does not.
Ja.
Say it. Speak its name.
Die Unterwelt?
Then it is true. I was right. I thought I saw it, but when the rest of them could not, I kept thinking I must have gone insane. I had to tell myself it was true over and over again, until I wasn't sure if I was deceiving myself. I must apologize if my words seem cryptic. I'd found comfort in reciting the Metamorphoses by our great poet Ovid. He gives such an uncanny description of this place. I cannot help but wonder if he himself came here. Would you like to hear it?
Ja, komm.
I will do my best to remember the relevant verse. There is a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb silence to the infernal regions. The sluggish Styx exhales vapor, and by that way, the shadows of the newly dead descend, entombed with full rites, and the ghosts of those, at last, given proper burial. The wide, thorny waste is cold and pallid, and the newly arrived shades are ignorant of the road that leads to the Stygian city, where Black Dis has his cruel palace. As the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls, and is never too small for any populace, nor notices the crowds that come. There the bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some crowd the forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others follow their trades, imitating their previous lives. And still others incur punishment. I hope I have done it justice, and now we share a secret. It's as if you've lifted a great burden from my shoulders. Thank you, friend. I think I should rest.
Die Arme. Alle halten sie für verrückt, aber Hinweis aufgelöst. Ja gut. So. Hier ist doch... Hier war doch irgendwas. Was haben wir hier? Kabage. Okay. Genau, das ist dieser Gerti. Hier wohnt also Kabage. Und er ist weg. Armen Schweine. Was haben wir hier? Tintenfass. Ich glaube, hier war ich doch auch schon. Dies ist eure letzte Warnung, Sünder. Okay. Nein. Galerius, wo bist du? Du wohnst doch hier. Da, genau, hier ist er. Okay, ich komme wieder. Ah, da ist meine Seilrutsche. Na gut. So, dann gehe ich mal hoch und rede mit denen ich noch nicht geredet habe. Hier sieht's aus. Einmal dieser Virgil. Ah, bist du Galerius? Hi, hi, hi.
Salve again, friend. I went and did
Sehr
as you
schön.
asked, and it worked. How is it possible that you've just arrived here and you already know everyone and exactly what's about
Intuition.
to happen?
Ja, du wirst es mir nicht glauben.
Oh, come on. I just did as you asked. The least you can do is level with me. I'll keep it between us. I promise.
Na gut.
You're toying with me, right? Wait.
Ja, das schaust
You're
blöd.
not kidding, are you? That's the only way you could have known. You're a bit like... Oh, what was his name? Sisyphus. Yeah, that's the one. Old King Sisyphus.
Ja, und wie...
Sisyphus was a Greek king a long time ago. For daring to think he could outsmart the gods, he was given a terrible punishment. He was forced to push a great boulder up to the top of a hill. Only, just as it reached the top, it would roll all the way back down to the bottom, forcing him to start over and over and over again, for all eternity. Just like you. Actually, now that I think about it, there are a bunch of old stories about the gods punishing people by making them do the same futile task over and over. Tantalus was made to grasp at fruit on a tree he could never quite reach. The Pleiades had to keep fetching water in a sieve. Oh, and Ixion was strapped to a wheel going round and round forever, But on the bright side, at least you're not stuck in the underworld like they all were.
Wenn du nur wüsstest. Was vor?
Anyway, I don't know which god you managed to upset to get yourself into this position, friend, but you seem all right to me.
Ja, wenigstens
I'll tell you
einer.
what, I'll keep doing whatever I can to help you. And you just focus on finding a way to break the cycle you're in.
Ihr seid ein guter Mann.
Oh, that's kind of you to say. Now, I'm going to keep your secret. Although, it's not as if I'll remember this next time we talk anyway, right?
Ja.
Oh, and if our conversations ever start to annoy you, just tell me you're busy. I know when I'm not wanted. May fortune smile on you, friend.
Hi. Ja, aber nochmal, warte.
I saw you slide down that rope before. Very impressive.
Dankeschön.
And strange, too, since that device you used is exactly the same as one I've been working on for weeks. Oh, of course. It's because I already gave it to you in a previous time loop, isn't it? Anyway, I'm sorry to ask, but is there any chance you'd be willing to do me a favor?
Ja, klar.
Well, I've been trying to get this rare flower from the rock spire in the middle of the lake. It's too steep to climb, so I hung a rope over the lake and made this pulley device, only I couldn't quite summon the nerve to use it. Do you think you could use the device again and try to get that flower for me?
Ja klar, komm.
Oh, thank you. It would help me a lot. There's no rush, just whenever you get a chance.
Ich mache es später. Habe ich mit ihm noch gar nicht drüber geredet? Ja genau, das wollte ich.
I've bounced the idea around once or twice, mainly as a way of getting Dooley set free. God knows Sentius is never going to do it. But from what I hear, Malleolus has the election stitched up. Nobody's going to take him on.
Er ist nicht mehr da.
And maybe that's not such a bad thing. I mean, he talks a lot about freedom, so I'm hoping if he's elected, he'll release Dooley from his cell. And that's good enough for me.
Er ist zurück.
He did? Oh, that was unexpected. I wonder what could have possessed him to do that. Well, I guess it's time for me to step up then. I'll let Equitia know I'll be running.
Sehr schön. Komm, das ist deine Geschichte.
It's a long one and kind of sad, but I don't mind telling it.
Ich habe Zeit.
I'm a farmer. Always have been. I grew up in a small village in Britannia, Camulodunum, with my parents and two little sisters. Lovely part of the world. One day, when I was about 20, my father and I were in the top paddock, loading our cart, when some Roman legionaries came along, demanding produce for their men. My father told me to run into the house for his axe, and so I did. Sprinted so fast I almost threw up. But by the time I got back, he was bleeding out on the ground, and our cart was empty. That was my first encounter with the legions. My mother died of a broken heart soon after, and things went downhill from there. I took over the farmstead, but I was young, and it was a struggle. More raiding started before too long. We'd come outside in the morning to find animals missing, our stores pillaged. These legion thugs just took whatever they wanted. One night, when my sisters and I had nothing left to steal, there was a knock at the door. I knew who they were, and what they wanted. I got my father's old axe, pulled the door open real quick, and before that soldier knew it, split his face right down the middle.
Ui.
But there were more of them. I never saw how many, because the next thing I knew, I was waking up with a mouth full of dirt and lungs full of smoke. My home was reduced to ash. My sisters, dead. And they left me alive to see what they'd done. Still burns whenever I think about it.
Uiuiuiui. Es tut mir echt leid, ich glaube, der hat richtig Hass in sich.
Yeah, well, I wasn't the only one this happened to. It wasn't long before Boudica led thousands of Britons in a rebellion against the Romans. Unfortunately, there were just too many of them. And those of us who survived, they enslaved. So, then I found myself being transported all the way to Rome to be sold to the highest bidder. I spent a few years working for my new master, learning the Romans' ways, Romanized my name and everything. Tried to escape a couple of times, but they always found me, and I'd just end up right back where I was. I'd probably still be there too, if it wasn't for the stampedes breaking out. You see, about 7 months ago, an enormous fire broke out in Rome. Everybody was running down toward the river, screaming and shouting. I'd never seen anything like it. Human beings acting like cattle. I got swept up with them somehow, and the rest is a blur. The next thing I knew, some stranger was dragging me out of a river. Stumbled across this place and
Charon hat dich geholt. Ah, aber ja, alles ist gut gegangen.
That's what I thought too, for a while. But it seems the gods aren't done tormenting me yet. See, I finally had my own farm again, safe from the grasping hands of the Romans. Or so I thought. Until Sentius the Decurion demanded I hand over all my produce. It's for the good of us all, he says. Only he takes the best bits for himself, of course. He even told me if I refuse his demands, I'll break the golden rule. I'm not sure I believe him, but then, what if he's right? So, it turns out our dear old magistrate is no better than the Legion thugs who took everything from me. I'm right back where I began. But don't you worry, Nemesis is waiting, and he'll get his, one day. He'll get his. Forget I said that last part, will you? I get carried away, sometimes.
Ja, klar, nee, ich hätte nicht verraten, wer es ist, wer, bitte nicht.
Thanks, friend. I knew
Sympathischer Kerl.
Anyway, that's enough of me rambling. Was there something else you wanted to talk about?
Ja, wie kommt man hier raus?
As much as I'd love to get out of here, the harvest's always more fruitful
Das ist
in
ein
another
Bauernhof
man's
da unten mit
field,
der Ziege, oder?
But Scintilla, Sentius' daughter, went missing a few weeks back. Could be she found a way out. If anyone knows for sure, it'll be her sister, Sentia. But she'd never tell the likes of me.
Okay.
Oh, I don't give it much thought these days. I mean, everybody here's got their own view about what we need to do to survive. But I say, let's spend less time arguing about what it means to be good and just get on with it, you know?
Okay, vielen Dank.
Hope you find a way to break that cycle you're in.
Es wird langsam dunkel. Ich glaube, die Wahl steht bevor. Da ist die Blume. Ich glaube, ich hole jetzt noch die Blume. Wo ist die Blume? Ach, da. Resette den Tag, damit ich dann wieder frisch von neu anfangen kann. Gott, wie komme ich denn da hin? Springen? Okay. Okay, das war nicht so geplant. Wann muss ich denn da loslassen? Wir probieren es nochmal. Alles für unseren Galerius. Komme ich da hoch? Wird schon schief gehen. Nein. Ich glaube, es geht doch viel schneller da hoch. Hab's doch verkackt. Okay, okay. Aber wir speichern hier und laden einfach mal. Probieren wir es mal so. Ja, natürlich. Ja, schon verkackt. Wir laden hier. Wenn das Laden nicht so lange das dauert. Ja, geht schon, geht schon. So halbwegs. So, nochmal. Fast raus. Ich hab's fast raus. Probieren wir es noch. Dann ist es, glaube ich, ein guter Abschluss. Und dann machen wir noch ein bisschen. Ich habe Lust irgendwie. Oh, nein, nein. Fast. Habt ihr das gesehen? Fast. So. Einmal noch nicht. Na gut. Dann hätten wir einfach den Tag. Ich glaube, es gibt noch viel zu tun. Ich weiß es nicht. Ich habe jetzt aber Lust, wieder den Decius zu beklauen. Ja, mit dir rede ich später. So, Decius. Seine Truhe. Verschlossen. Wo ist dein Schlüssel? Hast du einen Schlüssel? Schade. Hat er ihn? Ja, beklauen kann ich ihn nicht. Nichts. 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 Ach, Decius. Da, wie sie mich alle anstarren. So. Das habe ich ihm schon geklaut. Löffel. Das ist auch sein Stand. Dann schaue ich jetzt mal.
Don't you just love springtime?
Ja, natürlich mag ich's. Ich will jetzt mal da reinschauen. Da will ich jetzt reinschauen. Das heißt, die muss ich irgendwie rauslocken. Wie mache ich das? Ich muss ein Verbrechen begehen. Es tut mir leid.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Ich will ja sterben. Komm raus. Sehr gut. Ich bin tot. Aber ich habe es geschafft. Ja, gut. Laden wir. Holen uns dann die Blume. Und ich bedanke mich fürs Zuschauen. War jetzt die letzten 2 Minuten mal ein bisschen Quatsch. Aber die Blume hole ich dann offscreen. Und dann schauen wir, ob wir noch mit ein paar Leuten reden können und dann diese Tafeln finden. Dass wir, ich glaube, da hat sie gemeint, dass wir da rein können. Und ja, bis dahin. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Part. Ciao, ciao.
SillyConBread